This Evgeni Malkin story is really making the rounds, courtesy of Rob Rossi, who writes with The Athletic. And Rossi's been covering the Penguins for a long, long time. And he flew over to Moscow and had like an extensive sit down with him. I hope if you fly over to Moscow, it better not be, you have 20 minutes of my time. You know, it better be a full, like, 3 or 4 day, I'm following you around and we'll get the real scoop here.
I'm sure, Rossi's a guy who's respected by the players there, so I'm sure Gino gave him the time of day.
Well, he sure did, because there's a lot to take out of this. Malkin did not have a great year by his standards.
No.
By 95% of the league standards, it was like a great year. But there were a few different things that I took out of it. I think in Toronto, we're going to focus on the Phil Kessel part,
right,
where Rossi is reporting that even though Malkin declined to admit this publicly, Rossi still went with it in the piece, so I think it's probably a fact. Malkin basically said, either I'm here or Phil's here.
Yeah.
Like, put it this way, if you don't trade Kessel, consider this a trade demand.
Right.
So there was an issue with Malkin and Phil, Mike Sullivan, and to no surprise, they found a way to get rid of Kessel.
Yeah.
And that's why Phil's not there. And the piece kind of takes a shot at the character of Phil as well, that he's happy with his 2 rings, and now it's only about the stats. And that's come out a lot with Phil in the past. Phil's not one that's going to speak to it publicly. He's just going to say, get out of here. I'm in Arizona. I'm going to move on.
Yeah.
But Malkin talked about the language barrier being a big problem for him.
And how uncomfortable he was. Like
he's been here for 13 years.
I know.
And you know what? As I'm reading it, I'm thinking to myself, we do not place enough credence in that. We just don't. We just assume if you come over here, you better be able to play and forget your lifestyle, forget the fact that you can't talk to people that you're around.
Right.
And it's something that we should remember.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine if you placed me in Russia right now, I'd be lost.
I was there for 6 weeks.
I'd be lost.
Try,
yeah, imagine just tooting around town trying to navigate your way around. It's not happening.
Let alone as a public figure with high expectations. Now, he's carried the expectations incredibly well. He's one of the great players of all time.
Yeah.
You know what you end up doing is it's all sign language, which you don't know, and nobody knows other than people who are schooled in it. And then you end up speaking louder and slower and stupider. Like you're trying to explain it to them louder. I'll have a pizza, please. Pizza. And then you start doing the pizza sign. It's embarrassing. Mm-hmm. You look like an idiot. But that's, Gino actually, the ironic part is when I was in Magnitogorsk, he came and skated with us. And his English was a little bit sketchy back then, but he had, this was early on in his career. He's a fantastic, you forget sometimes how good of a player he is because he's just been hiding in plain sight. An off year, like you said, 95% of the league will take what he had for points last year. But
well, the one year he kind of really made a statement is Sid was hurt a lot of the year. He won the Hart Trophy.
Yeah, he was the best player in the league.
He won the Conn Smythe in 2009 as well. Yeah, people forget that. The first cup they won, he won the Conn Smythe.
He's a fantastic
player. He's a
great
player.
And by all accounts, too, even when I was in Russia, he had all the guys laughing. Apparently he's got, and we've seen a little like glimpses of it in broken English. Like he's got a great sense of humor. And the guys love him. But you're right, the language barrier would be frustrating. I'm surprised, like he did open up. Like when I read the article, I'm like, that's some pretty raw stuff there.
Yeah, he clearly had a difficult time last year with his teammates, with his own play, with his coach, his family not being around a lot. And now as he gets older, the younger guys are coming in, and he admitted, I'm having a difficult time connecting with them because of the language barrier. But I thought it said something about Sidney Crosby as well and the power of Sid, because Rossi reported, like Jim Rutherford, their GM, came out at the end of the year and said the only guy who's untouchable is Crosby. And I guess Crosby went in and said, actually, that's not the case. It's Sid and Gino. Which that says a lot about him. Yeah. And it says a lot about his power. Because I guarantee you Rutherford was like, okay, yep, Malkin's officially off the table.
Just mark that down, Gino.
What are you going to say to Crosby?
Yeah.
Like, if Crosby tells you Malkin's staying, he's staying. It's that easy.
Okay, so here...
Pretty much.
Let's bring that home. If Austin Matthews walks into Kyle Dubas's office today and says, I want Marner signed by Friday.
I don't think he's got the clout.
No.
Sid's got 3 cups.
I understand that.
Matthews
but like
is
that's
not in his stratosphere.
If he's got 2 rings on his finger right now, he can walk in there and say, "Get him
Yeah.
in here. Let's make this
In
happen."
10 years, you hope he's there.
You're right.
In 10
Maybe
years,
even 5,
for sure.
6 years. You're right. Like I'm just saying, like there's only a certain amount of guys. Like Ovi could probably do that.
Ovi, I think, could do that. I think there's only maybe a handful in the whole league right now, if that.
McDavid.
McDavid could do it.
Like there's only.
But even
yeah.
McDavid doesn't have like the cups and all that.
No.
He's so good
He's
and so important.
He's so good, and especially that organization. He's just so important to them. Mm-hmm. But you're right. There's only could Taves or Kane. Like if they were being bandied about, you think Patty Kane could walk in to Stan Bowman's office and go, "No guy on Seabrook getting waived."
I don't think so.
You don't think
I don't think, not like Sid. I mean,
well, I know Sid is generational.
Clearly
He's- yeah.
on a different level. Kane has had his problems off the ice, and I don't know. I don't know if Patrick Kane.
I think there's more respect though from managers than you would think. Like especially with their top players. If your top player has a problem with something you're thinking of doing, you might have to rethink that because you won't lose the player. The player will still play hard, but will that frustrate the player? And especially if it's somebody close.
Look at Kawhi Leonard, DeMar DeRozan, and where Kyle Lowry came into play. There's no way if Masai Ujiri went to Kyle before he pulled the trigger on that trade and said, "What do you think?" Yeah. Kyle would have been like, "Thumbs up, pal."
Yeah.
He would have fought it. He would have lost his mind and said, "No way, don't do it. DeMar's my guy."
Right.
But Lowry didn't have that clout.
Right.
You know, and Kane is higher on the totem pole in terms of importance to the franchise because he's won 3 cups.
But you see, you see it in basketball a little bit. Like LeBron.
LeBron is Sidney Crosby. Of course, he should have that power.
Yeah.
But does Giannis have that power?
I think when it comes to talent, you'd be shocked how many people would put aside friendships. Like if you're in a situation where something could put you over the top, like you say Kyle Lowry, if he was ever asked about DeMar, which I don't think he ever would be, he would probably say, "Oh, well, that's my chance to win a ring. Go ahead, do it."
Well,
you could be friends with guys in the summer.
In that case,
yeah, exactly.
You can meet them in Hawaii.
Yeah.
In that case, it is such a substantial upgrade. I think what is different with this analogy is you're not upgrading on Malkin.
No.
Like I think Sid's like, who do you think you're getting? You're not getting McDavid.
Yeah.
No.
You're not getting Matthews. You're not getting Kucherov.
No, not in this stage of his career.
Right.
If you're getting somebody younger, you're either somebody that you believe can get there, or you're never getting the full. You're getting bit pieces